Good morning everybody and welcome to Thursday's maths lesson. So what you will need for this lesson is a piece of paper and a pencil and your maths brain switched on. So let's get started with today's lesson.
This piece of work from Monday's lesson belongs to AJ in 5E. Well done AJ, I can see that you've had a go at that tricky question where you had to work out the answers to the part-whole model and then decide whether it's greater than, less than or equal to. I'm awarding you a dojo point for aspiration. Work from Monday's maths lesson belongs to Amelia in 5W. If you take a look on the screen, you can see that Amelia has been using the partitioning part-whole method really successfully. Well done, Amelia. I'm awarding you one dojo point for aspiration. This is your reminder that I have set a times table Rockstar's sound check session, and that started yesterday at 3 p.m. and you have until Friday at 3 p.m. to complete that. Let's get started with the lesson today. For your starter task, I would like you to use your knowledge of column subtraction to calculate the answers below. So pause the video now, think about how we set out our columns in subtraction and work out those answers, and I will come back to you with the answers. How did you get on? Here are the answers. Number 1, the answer was 4,112. Number 2, the answer was 561. And number 3, 2,772. Well done if you've got those all right. Remember, although we're doing division these next 2 weeks, it is so important that we remind ourselves of all of the methods that we have looked at in school, because practice helps it become embedded within our brains. And here is our learning objective for today. So today's lesson, we're looking at dividing a 4-digit number. So we're looking at bigger numbers today by a 1 digit. In particular, the new vocabulary that I'm looking at today is the bus stop method. So we're going to be looking at it initially alongside a part-whole method, and then I'm going to be introducing you to the bus stop method, which is very similar to what we've been doing the past week, but this is the method that we would do for division. Oh, I've got a question on the board. There are 4,884 crayons. Wow, that's a lot of crayons. And they come in packs of 4. How many packs are there? How could I work this out in an easy way? Because 4,884 crayons is a lot of crayons. Could I draw individual crayons? Could I draw 4,884 crayons? I don't think so. I'd be here for too long. Could I draw them as circles? No, I would simply be here for too long. What we would need to do, we need to think about our timing. Now, I want us to look at today a mixture of place value to support us and guide us when we're looking at the bus method. Do this together. The first thing you need to do is understand that there are 4,884 crayons. So in our place value chart here, we need to make sure that we have the correct amount in each place value. So let's check. We have 4,000s, yes, 800s, 8 10s, and 4 1s. Brilliant. Now our job is working out how many groups of 4 are in each. So shall we have a go? How many groups of 4 go into 4,000? Well, we can see 1. If we move over to our part-whole model, we would ask ourselves, how many 4s go into 4? 1. How about this one? How many groups of 4 are in the hundreds? Can you see it at home? 2 groups. Again, if you look over here on the bus stop method, you would say to yourself, how many 4s go into 8? At home, I know that you all know that. 2. Again, let's move to the 10s, and we're moving to the 10s and the place value. So, how many groups of 4 are in the 10s? 2 groups of 4. Again, look at the bus stop method, exactly the same. How many 4s go into 8? We've just done that really, haven't we? 2. Finally, how many groups of 4 are in the 1s? What do you think at home? one group. Well done. Again, look at the bus stop method. How many 4s go into 4? 1. And the answer to this question would be 1,221. Let's have a go at this one. Again, on the screen, I have got the place value chart just to support us alongside the bus stop method. So the bus stop method is over here. So it's 9,306 divided by 3. First of all, we have to make sure that the correct amount of counters are in each place value chart. So let's have a go. We have 9,000s, 300s, no 10s, and 6 ones. Are we happy with that at home? I'm happy with that. Let's have a go. We're dividing by 3. So we're going to start with our thousands. How many groups of 3 are in the thousands? Can you see that at home? Well done. 3 groups of 3. Now, for a minute, if we ignore that we've got the place value chart over here, move on to here, or your bus stop method, you'd ask yourself, how many 3s go into 9? Well, you know that. 3 times 3 is 9. So it must be 3. Let's move on to the hundreds. How many groups of 3 are here? Perfect. 1 group of 3. Again, look at the bus stop method, exactly the same. How many 3s go into 3? 1. Ah, how many groups of 3 are in the tens? Because it was 0 here. None. It would just be 0. That means we're moving on to our ones. How many groups of 3 are here? 1, 2. So it would be 2. Again, look at the bus stop method. It would say how many 3s go into 6? And you know that would be 2. The answer to this question would be 3,102. Let's have a go at this question together. 4,324 divided by 2. The first thing we need to do is make sure that we have the correct amount of place value counters in each of the place value columns. So here they are. Let's start. Now the first thing we need to do is look at the thousands column. We're asking ourselves how many groups of 2 are in that thousands column? 1, 2. Well done. Now, just like I mentioned earlier, for ease, we could say how many 2s go into 4? As long as you remember that that 4 is actually 1,000. 4,000. So it would be 2 times 2,000 is 4,000. The thing is, you already know it's 1,000, that 2, because it's in the thousands column. So for ease, I'm saying how many 2s go into 4, but it's essential that you remember this is the thousands column. So this would effectively be, when we read the answer, this number here is 2,000. Let's move on to the next section. The hundreds. How many groups of 2 are in the hundreds column? I can see 1 group of 2, so I'm going to put my 1 here. Again, please remember, this would be 2 times by 100, which would give you 200. We're saying it for ease. We're saying how many groups of 2 go into 3. Obviously, we know that that 3 is actually 300. Now, we've got a little bit of a problem here because we've got 100 left over. What do you think we need to do with that 100? Okay, we need to exchange that 100 into 10 tens. You will be able to see now in the tens we have 12 tens. You know that 12 tens, 12 times 10 gives you 120. Okay, so what we've had a go at here is we have looked at the fact that we've got 12 tens. So what's happened in our bus stop method is we've been able to get as close to 3 or 300 as we possibly have been able to. And what we need to do is we now need to acknowledge that we have moved that across. So this 2 or 2 tens now becomes 12 tens. And we know 12 times 10 is 120. So we're asking ourselves how many groups of 2 go into 12. We're saying 12, but we know it's 120. So how many groups of 2 go into 12? Have a look. I'm sure you know this at home. 6. And then how many groups of 2 go into 4? This is actually 4 because it's in the ones. We know that that's 2. Well done if you've got that. If you're feeling a bit wobbly, feel free to rewind the video and have a look again. Now it's my go at having a go at the bus stop method. Now, it's really important before we get started that you see the place value of each number. So this 6 here isn't just a 6, it's 6,000. This is 9 hundreds, this is 2 tens, and this is 1 ones. So we're going to ask ourselves, how many 3s go into 6? And we know it's 6,000 because it's in the thousands column, but we know whatever the answer we put here would be thousands because it's the thousands column. So what I'm going to ask myself for ease is how many 3s go into 6? And we know it would be 2. 3 times 2 would give us 6. Remember, it is thousands though, but for ease, this is what we're going to do. How many 3s go into 9? Well, you know that 3 times by 3 would give you 9. How many 3s go into this 2 here? Now remember, this would be 2 tens, this would be 20. Now we have to think on this one because actually this is smaller than the number we've got here. So what we have to do, this is 2 tens at the moment. We have to exchange this 2 tens for 20 ones. So think of 20 plus this one over here would make 21. And we only put a small 2 because if we put 20 it would be 201. And now we're asking ourselves, so we're going to put a 0 here because we couldn't do it. We couldn't do this bit here, so we've exchanged that 2 tens into 21s. Now we have how many 3s go into that 21? Have a think. Do your 3s for me at home. Pause the video. How many 3s go into 21? Well done. 7. Therefore, the answer for this question would be 2,307. And now it's time for you to decide on the chili that you would like to do for today's lesson. This is the first question for Chili 1. It says circle the groups of 3 to help you complete the sentences and the calculation. The first step has been done for you. So the fact that we have place value counters here is very similar to the work that I showed you earlier. So here you can see there is how many groups of 3,000. They've already put 1 because if you have a look, how many groups of 3 are there? Well, there's 1 group of 3. Then you need to work out there are how many groups of 300. So what you're going to have to do is group the 3s and how many groups of those 3s are there. And then you'd put the number in there. There is how many groups of 310s. So how many groups of 3 are there? And then there are how many groups of 3 ones. If you prefer, you've also got the bus stop method alongside, so you can have a go, so if you get the same answer for both of these activities. Pause the video now if you are Chili 1 today, and once you finish that, I'm going to show you the second question of Chili 1. Okay, here's the second question of Chili 1. It says use the place value chart to work out 8,404 divided by 4. So the first thing that you would need to do here, without me telling you the answer, is actually put 8 thousands as in place value counter. So you'd have 8,000 counters and you'd have 400 counters. You would have no tens and you would have 4 ones. That would then help you work out how many groups of 4 you have in each one. If you are confused or more confused by the place value chart, why don't you just do the bus stop method? You'd ask yourself, how many 4s are in 8? How many 4s are in 4? How many 4s are in 0? Have to think about that one. And then how many 4s are in 4? Pause the video now, Chili 1, and complete your final question. Chili 2, these are your questions. Now, Chili 2, your focus is the bus stop method. So you have questions there to have a go at. Could you, the final question says, could you have calculated the answer to F, so this is F, more efficiently? So I just want you to work through those, see how you get on. If you're struggling, then perhaps start on Chili 1 and move up. If you're not struggling, fantastic, and perhaps challenge yourself to do Chili 3. So, first of all, that's your question for Chili 2. So pause the video now if you need to. And the final question for Chili 2 is a true or false. Jack is saying that 9,063 divided by 3 is 3,061, and he's even done his workings out here. So you've got to tell me whether that's true or false and explain why. The way you could explain why is by working it out yourself. Chili 2, pause the video now because this is your final question. And now we're going to move on to Chili 3. So if you're Chili 3, get ready to pause the video. Chili 3, your first question says, Jack is calculating 2,240 divided by 7. He says you can't do it because 7 is larger than all of the digits in the number. Do you agree with Jack? Or would there be some exchanging going on in your bus stop method? So when it says explain the answer, I want you to have a go at the division first and see if he's right or wrong. Pause the video and have a go at this first question, and then I'm going to show you your next question afterwards. Here is your next question. It says spot the mistakes. This is for Chili 3. Explain and correct the working. So we know there's something wrong with this, but you've got to find where it is. You know that the calculation is down here because we've got the bus stop method. Can you spot the mistake for me? You've got your place value counters here, but you've also got your bus stop method down here. Could it be something to do with this section here, this column? Pause the video and have a go at that. And then Chili 3, your final question is use more than, less than, or equal to make the statements correct. So you've got to work out the answers to these, both of them. So you work out the answer to this one, work out the answer to this one, and then decide whether the answer is greater than, less than, or equal to. Pause the video now, Chili 3, for your final question. And this is your warning that I'm about to read the answers to you. So if you're thinking, no, I don't want the answers yet, pause the video, rewind it back to the chili that you need. If you are ready and you've got to this point in the lesson when you're ready to check your answers just like we would at school, then you can unpause me. You'll need a different colour pencil or pen, and we are going to go through the answers and you can check your answers against my answers. Right, are you ready? I'll give you a few seconds to either pause me or go and get a pen or pencil. Okay, here are the answers to Chili 1. So these should have been the answers. So I would like you to pause this video here and mark your answers against the answers on the board. You can see how many times they've grouped those three. So there was one group of 3 here, and there were 3 groups of 3 here, and there were 2 groups of 3 here. Then if you did it as a bus stop method, would give you the same answer, 1,312. You can see that, 1,312. Pause the video if you need to. Okay, Chili 2, here are the answers to number 2. So you could see here that this would be 8,000s, 400s, no 10s, and 4 ones, and then they have seen how many groups of 4 are in each. So you can see there's 2 groups in the thousands, there's 1 in the hundreds, there's none in the tens, so that'd be 0, and there's 1 group of 4 in the ones. If you then look at the bus stop method, it's exactly the same. You're working out how many groups of that number, so how many groups of 4 go into 8 or 2, and how many groups of 4 go into 4 or 1. How many groups go into 0? None, because 0 is small. And how many groups of 4 go into 4? 1. Gives you the same answer of 2,101. Chili 1, if you need to, pause the video now. Chili 2, here are your answers. Now, I'm going to allow you to pause the video so you can look at this in more depth. You will see that there's lots of exchanging in each of these questions. So pause it now and see if you have got the right lines. Chili 2, the true or false question was false. And in red, you can see why it was false. So I want you to have a think about that. Why would that be false? What was your explanation? Chili 3, this is your more than or less than to make the symbols correct. So this is the question that you were asked to work out the answers for. I believe that was your final question at the start. So have a look at this, pause it, see if you've got that correct. And here was the question about Jack. So Jack was calculating, I think this was your first question, 2,240 divided by 7. So Jack is incorrect because you can exchange between the columns. You can't make a group of 7,000s out of 2,000, but you can make groups of 700s out of 2,200s. So the answer is 320. If you've got that correct. And finally, spot the mistake. There is no exchanging between the columns within the calculation. The final answer should have been 3,138. Again.
Well, that's Thursday's lesson complete. So I will see you here tomorrow for Friday's lesson, and then it will be the weekend already. Take care, see you tomorrow.